It has been nearly 2 years since Fani Willis was told that she cannot investigate Burt Jones, who at the time was a Republican state senator in Georgia. He is now the lieutenant governor of Georgia, but he also signed on as one of the fake electors in the Trump attempt to flip the state of Georgia in the 2020 election. So Fani Willis was allowed to go after all of the other fake electors. She has charged many of them, but she wasn't allowed to go after Burt Jones because he was running for lieutenant governor at the time, and she had done a fundraising event for his opponent. So rightfully, the court system said, yeah, you actively campaigned for his opponent. You can't investigate this guy because clearly you are biased against him. That was the right decision. And I've said before, it was a bad decision for Fani Willis because she was in the middle of these investigations to go and do a political fundraiser. That wasn't, a very bright move, but I think that was probably the only real misstep. All the other stuff is just kind of made up hullabaloo, or totally irrelevant. But that was the one that was like, man, you really shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. Either way, after 2 years of not having an investigation into Burt Jones, it was announced this week that, hey, we finally found a prosecutor that's going to investigate Burt Jones. And it happens to be the guy who was tasked 2 years ago with finding a prosecutor to investigate Jones. The man is named Peter Skandalakis. It's always fun to have a guy with a name that has the word scandal in it, right? It's a little iffy. But Mr. Skandalakis is the director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. And 2 years ago, the state went to him and he said, hey, Mr. Skandalakis, can I call you Mr. Scandal? Why not? Fani Willis can't prosecute this guy. You're in charge of the Prosecutors Association. Find a guy or gal in the state that can prosecute him. He said, no problem, I'm on it. And then he sits there for 2 years. And then after 2 years, he says, you know what? I'm going to do it. Why not? Yeah, that's not shady at all. So I do think that the announcement that this investigation is happening now into Burt Jones for being a fake Trump elector, it's going to go nowhere, probably. But if Mr. Skandalakis, and I'm sorry for making fun of your name, I know that was actually not a cool thing to do. But if Mr. Skandalakis is a good prosecutor, if he is not biased, although waiting 2 years and then finally appointing yourself to do it when you could have done that the second they asked you to find somebody, kind of leads me to think that maybe you're a little biased. Either way, if he approaches this from a non-biased standpoint, then I see no reason why Mr. Jones, the lieutenant governor, would not be charged like the rest of the fake electors have, right? They got hit with RICO charges. This guy's been sitting in the lieutenant governor's office for 2 years since then. That doesn't make any sense. But also, for Republicans in the state, right, probably not a good look to see your lieutenant governor being criminally investigated, especially if there's a possibility that he could also end up being hit with RICO charges. So the best bet for Mr. Jones would just be to, hey, listen, I don't want any ugliness. How about we make all this go away and I'll just talk to you. You have questions for me? I have answers for you. So why don't we just work that out to where I don't face any charges at all? I can keep doing my job, not hurt the Republican Party of the state, and I'll just give you everything you want. That would be the smartest decision for the Republican Party of Georgia, not just for Mr. Jones, but for the Republican Party itself. And if that were to happen, that would be devastating for Donald Trump. Again, at the time, Mr. Jones was a state senator. When he signed on, he officially signed the document to be a fake elector. So he had contact with higher ups. He had contact with the people that have been indicted by Fani Willis. So he probably has a lot of information to give out, possibly up to and including Donald Trump himself. So Mr. Skandalakis, a prosecution of a high-ranking Republican official in a red state, probably going to be difficult to pull off. A plea deal, however, would benefit everybody and also give Fani Willis a little bit more ammo. So maybe this is one of those times where we need to go that route.